CataractCoach.com, podcast series, episode number 138, with Dr. Cyres Mehta, A Life Well Lived, the education of an ophthalmologist. This is really a fun adventure. You've got to check it out. Welcome back to our Cataract Coach podcast. And today, I have a very special guest who's really quite an amazing individual. And that is my good friend, Dr. Cyres Mehta. Cyres, welcome to our podcast, my friend.
I'm so happy to be here, Uday. You're like an international celebrity in the world of ophthalmology. And I've been watching your show for 4 or 5 years while working out, in between surgery, running on the treadmill. My kids are watching it. One of them is becoming an ophthalmologist. It's like family time.
Oh, I thank you for that. You're very sweet. Now, if only my own kids would actually give me a little bit of respect. Now, I see you're wearing an Iron Man t-shirt. Now, you are quite the athlete. And listen, I like to lift weights. I love lifting weights. But you take it to a whole other level. Tell me about your progress here.
So, I was always a big guy. I've been training with weights since I was in 6th grade. After I read Arnold's autobiography, The Education of a Bodybuilder.
Okay.
So one day dad comes home and says, read this. So I was this podgy kid. I hated working out. I just love to sit at home and eat, just like all the kids do today.
Less like me.
Yeah. So I read that book cover to cover in maybe 2 or 3 days. And then I started training. So I was kind of self-taught after reading the autobiography of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's why my new book, which you read, it's entitled The Education of an Ophthalmologist, but actually the font is exactly the same as the one that was there in Arnold's original book.
Oh, I get it now. His book, his Schwarzenegger book, Education of a Bodybuilder.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I get it. Now, besides bodybuilding, though, you're very achieved, obviously, in bodybuilding, working out, lifting weights, for sure. But you're also a very highly ranked competitive shooter. And I also know you were an absolute, almost crazy man on a motorcycle.
Yeah, yeah, that was the good old or bad old days. So
tell me about that.
Yeah, about the motorcycle.
Sure, anything.
So, I did a fellowship with Dr. Howard Fine in America,
in Oregon,
clinic in Eugene, in April of 2000. Just before, this was 2 months before ASCRS.
Wow.
And Howard was at his peak. He was one of the most famous ophthalmologists in America. Anywhere you turned around and you looked, and there was Howard Fine.
Yeah.
Howard Fine was doing clear corneal phaco. Howard Fine was doing cortical cleaving hydrodissection and all this stuff. So I went to work with Howard, and it was an enlightening experience. And the one thing that Howard did was he used to ride motorcycles.
For sure.
Yeah.
Harley Davidson.
Yeah, so in his basement of his clinic, there were 7 Harley Davidsons, all the usual ones, Street Bob and Sportster, and the big fared ones, which you travel cross-country in. Right. So he gave me one and said, Cyres, you ride this. And so he would do surgery. I'd watch him. We'd see patients. And at 4 p.m, there would be a lock on the door, and Howard and me would be off on the motorcycle. We'd ride around the back streets of Eugene. And there was no such thing as traffic. And coming from Mumbai, where there are 1 million cars on the road and 2 million people walking around anyhow.
Right.
This was a real eye-opener.
Right.
In 30 minutes, you would see one old farmer driving his old truck. That's it.
Right.
So that's where I started riding motorcycles, actually.
Wow.
When I came back to Mumbai, I really missed it. But it didn't really help because I was broke. So I had to wait a year or two to collect some money, and then I bought my first 1000cc motorcycle. Because if you ride a motorcycle less than 1000cc, it's just not any fun. There's just not enough power to give you a thrill. It's kind of pointless. You might as well be riding a scooter.
Wow. I mean, 1000cc, that's a huge bike. That's like 150 horsepower. That's an incredible motorcycle.
Yeah, it's about 200 now.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Howard Fine was an amazing American ophthalmologist who died just recently last year.
Yeah.
In fact, he died. He was scheduled to do my podcast and died just a few days before.
Oh,
So and he was a mentor to me as well, incredibly innovative ophthalmologist. And he was based out of Eugene, Oregon, a small town in Oregon here in the USA, which is, as you said, a very small place. You could ride your motorcycle for 30 minutes and see maybe one other car.
that's right.
An incredible. Now, but you took it beyond that. So while he rode Harley Davidsons and mostly did the kind of cruiser activities, you actually went to the superbike route, meaning you rode what we call pocket rockets. These are incredible high-power superbikes that you actually did track racing with.
That's right. So after a while, I realized that if you keep riding this bike on the road, one day you're going to be roadkill. You're going to be run over. So I decided if you still want your speed thrills, you may as well do it at the track.
Right.
And riding on the track is very different from riding on the street. And handling a motorcycle on the track is very different from riding a motorcycle on the street. So I decided to get professionally trained. And my friends that were riding here had brought down the California Superbike School to India. And we had 1 or 2 racetracks in India at that time. And so I took my superbike, which was a BMW S1000RR. BMW had just turned the world of sports bikes upside down by launching their first superbike, which was a complete blast. It was a world beater. It was nearly 200 bhp. So I took that thing on the track, and I was trained by the same people who trained the MotoGP riders. And the California Superbike School is the cradle of motorcycle racing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, these are incredible bikes. I mean, for those who aren't aware, the power to weight ratio is insane.
It's
200
insane.
horsepower in a bike that weighs a couple hundred kilos.
Yeah. So the most unstable thing on the bike is the rider. The bike's capable of way more than we are. And we are actually, even after being trained and everything, we're not even riding that bike to 60% of its capability. It's not like getting in a Tesla and just pressing your foot into the floor. So whether you're doing it or I'm doing it or it's Nigel Hamilton, the car is just going to go as fast. But on a motorcycle, it's absolutely different. This bike would do 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds and 0 to 200 in like 5.5 or 6 seconds.
Wow.
That's crazy quick. It would top out at 330 on the back straight of the track. And being at 330 on a motorcycle is very different from being 330 in a Ferrari with your windows up and the music playing. You're in the wind blast. It's like hanging onto a jet after it's taken off.
Right. So for my American friends, 330 kilometers an hour is more than 200 miles an hour. That's an unbelievable speed. That's really cool. That's quite yeah. There are a lot of parallels there. Like you were saying, as a motorbike rider, a superbike rider, you don't ride it to even 60, 70% of its ability. A lot of parallels between that and surgery.
Absolutely. Are we really using our phaco machines to 100% of the capability?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Nope, not at all. Not even, honestly, in the majority of my cases, not even half.
Absolutely.
Right. So I like the parallels there, but boy, it's also a bit of a dangerous sport, though. I mean, to be frank, I'm a very remedial, very basic motorcycle rider. Like, and the skill set from 1 to 100, I'm maybe like 2 out of 100. So I'm terrible. But it's also super dangerous. I'm a little bit afraid. Wasn't there any fear factor there?
Yeah, there was. I had a few close calls, but until you don't have a big crash, you don't really realize this. In 2007, I had a huge crash. I came off the bike, which is a nice way of saying fell off the bike.
Right.
At about 160, which is it's about 100 miles an hour. Coming out of a turn and getting onto the power, another rider miscalculated and hit me. And this can happen on the racetrack, even if you're training. You can collide. And I was off the bike, and I went into the runoff at probably, bouncing around. Of course, I was unconscious. I don't remember everything. But I saw the CCTV footage. It's rather frightening. The bike was on top of me. And that's a 200-kilometer cycle on you at 150 kilometers an hour. So, that one broke a few ribs.
Oh, my.
And put me in the hospital for a day. And what's interesting is when you break 4 ribs, you can't sneeze or cough for 3 months. Yeah.
Right.
And,
Of course.
and you can't lie down to sleep either because the ribs had broken on the connection with the spine. So you can't lie on your back. So you got to sleep sitting upright.
Wow.
So sometimes you'd fall asleep and then you'd fall over. And then, when the pain hits you, then you wake up again and you become upright. So this went on for about, they said, don't worry, it will heal in 6 weeks. Nobody, it was 3 months. And I couldn't do
Wow,
a
that's
bench
tough.
for a year because you can't lie on that bench with that firm neoprene.
Well, interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I just did bench press yesterday. I do bench press here in LA. I operate Monday mornings, and then Monday afternoon is my big bench press day.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I could ever miss that. I mean,
Uday, what's
the weight
minimum bench press?
for me, I do 225 pounds, 100 kilos, which is two
Pretty
big
good.
plates.
Yeah.
No, yesterday I did 17 reps first set.
With the 200 kilos.
No, 100 kilos, 225
100
pounds.
kilos. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so in the USA here, the 2 plates, we call it, which is 100 kilos or 225 pounds, is what they use in the National Football League to test the players. How many reps can they do? So I never do more than 2 plates. I only do 2 plates as my max.
You don't need to do more than 2 plates.
After age 50, I don't want to damage my shoulders, but I do it for reps. So before I would do 10 reps for 6 sets of 225. But now I try to match how much I can do. So now my first set yesterday was, I should put it on my phone. My first set, I'll tell you exactly, because I always track this. I'm so crazy. I did 225 times 17 reps. The next set I did times 14 reps, then times 12, then times 10, then times 8, then times 6. Then I stopped.
You're way stronger than me.
No, please.
You're way stronger than me. I don't do that stuff anymore. I'm terrified of ruining my shoulders because I was a big bench presser in the earlier days. I was doing 300 pounds for 1 rep singles and stuff like that. But eventually that gets your shoulder.
It's
develop permanently bad rotator cuffs and supraspinatus impingement, which is the bugbear of all bench pressers. You're eventually let down by a rotator cuff.
In fact, it's why I limit myself to only 2 plates, which is 225 here in the US.
That's more than enough.
Yeah, it is. So it's the supraspinatus. But I actually every week, I do a dedicated 30, 45 minutes on just rotator cuff exercises. Exactly what you're saying, which is probably the most important muscle is supraspinatus.
Yeah. So I guess you're doing the external rotations with the band.
Right.
In different positions.
Yeah, if you do the supraspinatus tests, which is this one here, and lift the shoulder up, and this one I'm perfectly fine. And the other one is the pouring out a can of Coke.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm perfectly fine both sides. So knock on wood, rotator cuffs are great, no issues at all. And that's after age 50, which is no joke.
You're asking me about the Iron Man t-shirt. Here's the story.
Tell me.
So, when Corona hit, I'd become really large. I was like 96 or 97 kilos. Okay. And I'd become, how you describe it as ungainly.
That's me.
Kind of top heavy.
Right now. Don't worry about it.
It was kind of top heavy. It really didn't look good, especially with your t-shirt off. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So I decided to do something about it. And all my friends, they said, you're just too fat. You can't do it anymore. And you're just too old. I was going to be 50 that September. So this was Feb when Corona hit, and India went into one of its famous lockdowns, where people were banking on the thalis and stuff like that.
Nice.
So I said, well, it can't be really that hard. Everyone's doing it. I can do it. So I transformed myself into a 6-pack in about 6 months, just to prove to my friends that you can do it.
Okay, wait. You got a
bigger deal.
You got to teach me. I'm going to take some notes. Come on.
Yeah. So there was a lot of cardio involved and carbohydrate restriction. If you can tolerate the carbohydrate restriction and you can do the cardio, anyone can get a 6-pack.
Wow.
Remember, when you lock people up in jail and you don't give them food, they all get a six-pack after some time.
Or my favorite example is all the patients who we see in the hospital who have from fighting, they have a broken jaw. The ENT service will wire their jaws. 100% of those patients in 1 month lose 15 kilos.
That's it. Yeah, it's basically carbohydrate restriction and not being able to eat all the junk you were eating earlier.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I started cycling with my friends, and some of them were professional cyclists. They would do 100K. So
this is
an easy day.
Bicycle,
Yeah, it's a bicycle. Yeah, it's a bicycle.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bicycle. It's a race bike.
Wow.
I can't be riding that thing, with your upright and you're sauntering along on the road. It's awful. So we were riding race bikes on empty streets because everyone's hiding at home because they thought if we go out, we're going to die and stuff like that.
The COVID craziness, we all went through it.
Yeah. You're going to die anyway one day, Don't kill yourself while you're alive. So we would be riding these bikes 2-3 hours a day. And I got pretty good at cycling. And they said, well, why don't you just do the Ironman? So I trained 4 months for the Ironman and I managed to do it. And that's why I still keep this t-shirt to remind me. If you told me to do the Ironman again today, I'd really think twice. It's a whole other level of craziness.
Now remind us, Ironman is biking, swimming, and running. How much of each?
Yeah, it's swimming, it's the biking, and then it's the run.
How much
swimming? So I realized that this Ironman's held in Goa.
Okay.
And the problem with the sea off the coast of Goa, it's full of jellyfish.
And
jellyfish sting people.
Yeah.
That's really not pleasant. So I decided that if you want to be an Ironman finisher and you want that medal, you better be doing the Ironman relay. So we convinced somebody who was a good swimmer in the swimming pool that, it's a breeze. You can just swim. No problem. And we threw the poor guy in the water. Of course, he was stung by jellyfish. And he came out an hour later, but he finished it. And then I got on the bike. It took me about 3.5 hours, but it was really hot. It was 32 degrees in the sun. And that's, I think, more than 85 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's hot.
And then we got a third guy to do the run, which was about 21K. I don't run because it irritates my knee and my ankle from years of heavy squatting. The knee and ankle so well.
Wow.
So we all got the Ironman medal and we all became Ironman finishers.
That's what I'll tell
That's
you.
How I got the Ironman t-shirt.
I'll tell you an interesting bit of history related to Ironman. The Ironman, the entire franchise, the whole business of Ironman was bought or purchased by an ophthalmologist. Dr. Jim Gills, Gills.
I've met him.
In Florida.
Tarpon Springs. Yeah.
Yes, Tarpon Springs, Florida. Bought the entire Ironman.
Yeah.
And then I believe he had it for a few years. He ended up selling it and probably made more money by selling it than he did in all those years of doing 1 million cataract surgeries.
Yeah, I can believe that. I think he made a lot of money and he did millions of cataract surgeries anyway. He was one of the greatest high-volume surgeons there was. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I mean, speaking of high volume, gosh, the world's a different place now. I was just lecturing 4 days ago in Argentina, and I met one of my favorite colleagues, who's a Brazilian, who has already done 500,000 cataracts, phaco's.
That's crazy.
500,000.
I don't think I've broken 50,000.
Yeah, I know. It's a crazy number. It's just like, that's why I've learned in ophthalmology, I need to be humble because there's always someone better, smarter, more successful, better surgeon, higher volume. There's always someone like that. You can't win.
Yeah. I've seen your show with the Rosatelli spin.
That's him.
I tried that out last week, with a posterior cataract, and it worked great. I spun it around. It was much better than before.
Yeah, he's a brilliant ophthalmologist. And in ophthalmology, one of the tough parts is there are so many brilliant people. To be honest, when I'm in a room of ophthalmologists, I feel like the dumbest guy there. To be honest. It's just like there's so many incredible people in our field. There's so much to learn. It's just like,
You're one
wow.
of them.
No, please.
Yeah.
Kidding me.
Yeah.
I'm always humbled because whenever I talk to my kids will tell me, especially my daughter will tell me, Dad, you don't know anything. Dad, you're nothing. And then I feel bad. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm just me again. Thank you.
You know, when I'm old, I can't walk properly and I need the stick, probably in my late 80s.
Okay.
And the great grandchildren will say, look at grandpa, he can't walk. So I'll point to my Iron Man medal and say, do this and show me. Yeah.
Right. I know, it's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. That's like, but I think that's the nature of life. The nature of life is, I never appreciated my own father until later in life. When you're a child, when you're 16, 18, 20 years old, you don't appreciate what you got.
Sure.
I think it just comes later in life. You're like, oh, you know what? Maybe they were right.
It's like the art market. Can you buy a Rembrandt today? No, you
know.
can't. It's $100 million.
Oh, okay.
But Rembrandt died broke.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And Van Gogh also, right? What kind of
You can't buy a Van Gogh today.
Yeah, $100 million easily.
No. Exactly.
Yeah, just a different world for sure. Now, tell me a little bit more too about what is your daily situation like. So you have a beautiful eye center there in Mumbai. You're very busy. You basically attract like the VIPs of the whole country to come to you for surgery. What's your day like?
We like to think so. So you know that Dad's a famous ophthalmologist, right? And he was one of the pioneers of phacoemulsification in the country.
That's Mehta.
Yeah. And Dad was like the only Indian in the triple IC like 30 years ago. And he was one of the pioneers of cataract surgery in India. So that I was privileged to learn under him. And that gave me a big boost. So I didn't have to go here and there to learn cataract surgery. I learned it sitting at home.
Wow.
He used to be making videos on a Super 8 film, which was like a film reel. Yeah. And
like actual plastic film.
Yeah, that's right. And we used to be seeing these, it was called High 8, the format. And we used to be seeing these movies at home that we used to record. And we used to see Tom and Jerry cartoons. And then after that, this was, say, 1975, 77. And then we'd be seeing the cataract surgery.
Tell me about your father used to see these reels.
Yeah. And so this was like an early start. So I knew about capsulorhexis and hydrodissection and stuff like that before I was a postgraduate. Before I was really exposed to a postgraduate teaching environment, I probably already knew all this stuff from watching multiple videos. And I've seen the days at ASCRS when you went around with a little suitcase full of your VHS tapes. And Dad's course was always full. And Bobby Osher was always there.
Oh, the best.
He would pop in with this video. And the late Alan Crandall.
Yeah.
And all the greats of cataract surgery. I watched them all. I learned from them. And I think that made a huge difference. Now we're using a femtosecond laser. We do lenticule extraction for refractive errors. How the world has moved on from PRK. And I've seen it evolve from ECC to phaco.
Right.
And there was a lot of resistance in India going from ECC to phaco. They said, oh, this thing, it's going to burn the cornea. It's going to be the death of the eye. It's terrible. And what is this plastic bit you all are putting in the eye? It's an intraocular lens. It's going to finish the eye. You can never put something in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I've, seen all these days where people really weren't so welcoming to new ideas. And that's changed now.
Right. It's a new world. I mean, I'll tell you now, 10 days ago, I actually did the world's first actual robotic cataract surgery.
I saw that. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it's a different world. Now, for many, many years, people would say, oh, no, I'm doing robotics. No, I really did actual true robotic surgery. Right. I'm not advertising anything. I'm telling you the reality. And this is going to make us better surgeons. There's no question.
For sure. for sure. But tell me, in 10 years, are we going to be doing any surgery ourselves, or we only be going to doing podcasts? The
No.
machines be going to be doing everything.
Well, let me ask you about LASIK right now. If I do, as you said, lenticle extraction or in the cornea, or I do even LASIK or even trans PRK, what I need from me is surgical judgment. Like if I
Right.
did, I did a LASIK, I did some LASIK cases today. So okay, the femtosecond laser did the ablation, the treatment for the flap. I lifted a flap. The excimer laser did the ablation at 500 hertz, beautiful ablation. And I put the flap down and I
Yeah.
smoothed it and maybe a little BSS. But what percent of that was actually robotic or automated? 90?
Yeah, but very soon you can get a machine to do the whole thing, because how much skill does it really need to lift that flap?
Right. No. It needs, there's one thing that's more important than surgical skill. And that's surgical,
Deciding who to operate.
or surgical judgment. Or even deciding how you program your laser.
Yeah. But
So
aren't we doing this based on looking at a topography, and looking at a pentacam report or a Cyres, looking at the back surface of the cornea, and we decide, well, does this guy look like he's going to develop keratoconus later on? Is this some kind of form frust keratoconus?
Yeah.
And so basically, we are just looking at reports. We're not really looking at the cornea and deciding this. You're looking at a topography, and the machine's doing that anyway.
Right. So you're right. Of course, in that manner, there is a lot of machine or AI ability to analyze our scans that we're already doing. In fact, I'll tell you now, my financial disclosure is I have, with my company, Advanced Euclidean Solutions, we have multiple patents in the AI ophthalmology space, including those for IOL calculations, including for cataract surgery calculations. And so, yes, this can, a lot of it, be automated, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I flew back from Argentina 3 days ago after a meeting. I'm very happy that I had a human pilot, but there's no mistake.
Sure.
The human pilot also had GPS and radar and autopilot and had all the newest technologies, but I still had a human pilot as well. And I want that. So same with surgery. I want a human surgeon ultimately to look over everything, but I want that human surgeon to have every possible tool or ability to give me the best possible outcome.
Yeah. What happens when AI decides that your plane isn't going to USA and makes a dive in the middle of the Atlantic? The problem is handing over complete control to a machine. If the machine wants to crash the plane, it will. So there has to be a manual override.
100%. Agree with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
So
so
today, I've been in the cockpit. I've been in the cockpit with a friend who's a pilot. It's illegal. You're not allowed in the cockpit. We do it anyway.
Okay.
So the plane basically took off by itself, and it said rotate, rotate. He pulled it back. I could have done that. You can do that. You don't need to be a pilot to do that. You can drive a car, you can fly a plane. The plane calculated how fast it had to climb to altitude. It decided where to turn. It went to the destination. It lined itself over the runway with the automated landing system and landed. So without the pilot, the plane can pretty much fly itself anyway.
Well, I agree with you. Here in Los Angeles, now obviously we have Tesla cars that have great autopilot, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Even beyond that, here in Los Angeles, where I work in Beverly Hills, on the west side of Los Angeles, we have Waymo cars, Waymo. Waymo is part of Google.
Yeah.
These are fully automated, driverless cars that you hail it from your phone like an Uber. You use your phone, the car comes, there's no driver in it. And they have a great record. They crash.
They will be
humans.
Yes. So only problem is that when the Waymo is on the road, there are also humans on the road. If there were no humans on the road and all the cars were Waymo, you'd never have a crash again, because one car knows exactly where the other is.
Right.
It knows who's coming down the alleyway.
Right.
The whole problem is the humans.
Well, we'll get there.
All the humans out of the equation, like James Cameron. Get all the humans out of the equation, and it'll be Terminator Doomsday after that, when the machines take control. And how far do you think that really is?
You know, I don't know exactly, but I tell you, the stuff with the robot though, it's a reaction time. The robot reaction time is at least 10 times better than the best humans. Like it's the reaction for a robot is at least 10 times better or more than the
But tell
reaction of an
right.
F1 race car driver.
Now, you remember from the old days of FACO when we had the awful FACO machines, which
Right?
didn't have any pressure sensors and stuff. And if you operated at higher vacuum and when you broke occlusion and the chamber jumped up and
Yes,
down,
sir.
and
Yeah.
sometimes unconsciously you withdrew the handpiece. This is like 20 years ago. This
Mhm.
doesn't happen anymore with the new systems.
Right.
Can the robot withdraw that as fast as us? Can it react to that?
Oh, it at least 10 times faster than you.
That's amazing.
At
That's
least.
amazing. And remember that we've done maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 surgeries. What about the guy who's done 200 surgeries? A resident in training. The
Right.
robot will be 100 times better than him.
Oh,
See,
for
today we probably could be as good as the robot because we've done so many surgeries. We know what to anticipate. But would you like your cataract to be operated by somebody who's just passed out of residency or
of
by the
course.
robot?
No, there's no question. There's
Yeah,
no question.
exactly.
Because remember, I taught residents for 22 years at
Right.
UCLA, which is one of the largest and most prestigious eye surgery programs in the entire USA. And USA is a
Yeah.
big place. There are every year out of the residents we trained, there are a few who are just amazing. Most are pretty good. And every year there's at least a couple, one or two, who are stinkers. Well, you know
Yeah,
what? No
sure.
matter what, they're never going to be a world class. There's no question. They'll never be a world class surgeon.
He just has to buy the robot. He's world class after that.
Oh, Cyres, you make
Everyone
me laugh.
looks everyone looks good getting out of a Rolls Royce.
Oh, you're too funny.
You know, you go to Monaco and you have a coffee opposite the Hotel de Paris, okay, which
Hotel
is
de Paris,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So you sit there with your 10 euro coffee, which is actually €1, and you watch all the rich people come by in their supercars, okay, and park and get out of the car, and everyone looks fab. You know, even if they're 80 years old, they look 40 because he's getting out of $1 million car.
Oh my God, you make me laugh so much. But no, you're right. Absolutely. But listen, I think we should embrace new technologies. Embrace new technologies.
Absolutely.
There,
Absolutely.
I look at the corneal refractive size. Do I ever want to go back to radiokeratotomy? No, never.
Never, never.
Now that we have an excimer laser, we have a femtosecond laser, it's so much more accurate. So same way, after doing so much phaco, do I ever want to go back to ECCE?
Never.
At least 99% of the time, no. I mean, there are some rare cases in Beverly Hills, and maybe once a month I do one MSICS procedure. Once a
Sure.
month. But otherwise, no, 99% of the time I'd rather do phaco. So same with this. I think once we get to the newer technologies, they're only going to make us better and better. And then we have to embrace that. We have to keep evolving. We have to keep evolving, especially with ophthalmology, for sure.
Yeah. So tell me, on the subject of robotic cataract surgery, you have a grade 5 cataract. With today's technology, would you like the robot to do a phacoemulsification? And is this integrated with a femtosecond laser? So is there a femtosecond laser first fragmenting the cataract and then the robot's going in? Or this is a pure phacoemulsification system?
Well, you can have either one. So again, the robotic world is just evolving right now, and we can make it anything we want to make it. And so we don't have
Or
to.
would you rather do an MSICS for a grade 5?
I mean, I have videos on CataractCoach where, like I said, every month in Beverly Hills, in one of the fanciest zip codes, the fanciest areas of the entire planet, at least once a month, I do MSICS. I mean,
It still has a place.
it does 100%, and it's a beautiful procedure. And for a tough case, I had a patient very recently.
Sure.
I got to show you a picture. It was only a week ago. I had a very difficult patient a week ago where we did the M6 and it was just like amazing because the next morning the cornea is clear, and otherwise this lens was like beyond brunescent, and the patient was so happy. So I think it's still, as a surgeon, we ultimately still rely on our own surgical judgment, which is very important. And I think we need to offer kind of all things to all patients. Here you go. Here's the nucleus. This was literally, yeah, I'll show you a picture here. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get that it's black like this. So you don't really want to waste 20 minutes doing phacoemulsification inside and hoping that the posterior capsule doesn't give way or the endothelium doesn't get toasted in the process. Yeah.
I got that nucleus out in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And the
So what I do is I use a device called a MyLoop.
Sure.
I don't have any like financial obligation to say it, but I use this thing all the time. And it's made by Zeiss. It's a little plastic MyLoop.
The idea of MyLoop, of using a lasso suture, basically a lasso, to split, that was actually published in the Indian literature.
Sure.
Like 15,
long
20
time ago. It was called a snare.
Yes, the snare. Before, quote, MyLoop. To me, MyLoop, it seems a little bit like, let me borrow someone else's idea.
Yeah. But MyLoop, it's very nicely done. When you make a snare, you're using a wire which looks like a guitar wire, so it's not flexible. This MyLoop thing goes. So what I always do is that I get the nucleus out of the bag first. And I put viscoelastic on top and underneath. I never do it in the bag.
You're smart.
And once you've made it and cut it into half, you can do the same MSICS with a 5 millimeter tunnel instead of an 8 or 9 millimeter tunnel.
I think that's very smart. So we have videos on CataractCoach of splitting the nucleus in half. And that is another way. You can actually put a lens loop in the eye.
Yeah.
And then use a cystotome to score the lens multiple times, split it in half. But you're right. But I like what you're doing, because on CataractCoach, we have videos of the MyLoop being used in the bag.
Yeah. I've tried that. I don't like it.
Damages the bag.
I always get the nucleus out of the bag through a big Rexis.
Yeah, you're smart.
Sandwich it with viscoelastic. And the old SICS days with Luther Fry and all these guys, I still remember the phaco sandwich and things like that, where they would sandwich the nucleus and get it out of the eye. So I use that MyLoop. The problem with the MyLoop is that after 4 times of putting the loop out, it jams. So then, you got to buy another one. And it's like $200 every time. So guess what? So, I was complaining to my assistant, who's an optometrist, a very smart boy. And his name is Viral. So I said, Viral, this thing's jamming all the time. He said, no, you can use it as much as you want. I said, really? He says, yeah, we play with it after surgery. And if you keep moving it, it starts moving again. So guess what? Now we can use one MyLoop for 100 cases.
Smart, man. I like
just ETO it and just keep using it.
Smart kid.
Yeah, and the more you use it, the better it gets, because the loop becomes more flexible.
What a smart kid.
Yeah. So now it's $2 a case.
I'm telling you, the young generation,
they're really smart.
Oh, they're much smarter than us.
And you know why that is, Uday?
Much smarter.
Why is it that our grandkids are smarter than us? It's the evolution of the human species. Why is it they didn't discover electricity in the 18th century?
I don't know.
Why didn't they discover computers in 1850? Because humans just weren't smart enough. This is the evolution of the human species. So we're not getting bigger and taller and stronger. We're getting smaller, more civilized, but smarter. So this is the evolution of the human species.
I hope so, because when I was growing up as a kid, my father, who died recently, told me the opposite. He would say, holy cow, I should have never left India with 20 years old. If I knew I would come to America and you are getting -A. Your -A is paining my eyes too much. I cannot take it. And I felt like such a failure, such an idiot. I'm like, sorry, Dad. And he's like, okay, next time, please. I only like A+.
Only A+, yeah.
I had the very strict parents. Oh my gosh.
When I first came to ASCRS in 19, attended in 1996. It was the American Academy in Chicago in 1996. It was the
Okay.
first meeting in America at Lakeshore Drive, McCormick Place.
Yep.
I remember that there was like 10,000 people, and they had just launched AlphaGan. AlphaGan was the big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
The banners everywhere hanging, and it said AlphaGan, AlphaGan. And I still remember that there was just very few people of Indian origin or Chinese origin at the American Academy.
Mhm.
And this was 1996. But
Right.
today, if you go to a meeting, there are so many young fellows of Asian origin, Chinese origin, Indian origin.
Right.
So more and more of us have become ophthalmologists. There just weren't so many in the old days. And that's because all those kids were in probably joining residency programs then.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
that's what first generation immigrants do. They study, they try harder so that the A minus doesn't pain their parents' eyes. Yeah. They just try harder than everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here today.
Yeah, it's obviously a very complex kind of thing. It's kind of hard to pin all this down, but I mean, if you look at the world as a whole,
Yeah.
in the world as a whole, 20% of the entire world population is going to be, or 15, 18% at least is going to be Chinese. 22, 23% of the entire world population is going to be Indian.
No, I think it's 50%. We are rapidly multiplying. It's going to be 50%. There's going to be Indians everywhere.
So yeah, obviously it's kind of spread everywhere here. And then the US also, in the US, there's a bit of a selection bias. So when my parents came to the USA in 1967, that year, both my parents, who both passed away already, they were both doctors. They got immigration because they were MDs, they were physicians. But that year, not too many Indian bus drivers or Indian janitors got immigration in 67. So when my parents grew up here, obviously, my parents had 4 kids, me and 3 siblings. Guess what? All 4 of us were all MDs.
Sure. But do your grandkids want to struggle as much and be MDs? No, they want to do business.
No. Both my kids
The
are medical.
yes, but their kids. So, as time
Yeah.
passes, the way they study and it kind of changes.
It
So
does.
the second, third, fourth generation, they want to do business. They want to do different things. They want to own sports franchises. They don't want to study 12 hours anymore and be doctors and lawyers.
I think you're right. The world is for sure changing. And the best thing with my kids is it doesn't matter what I say, they'll never listen to me. It's okay.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
they're smarter than me. They're like, Dad, you don't know anything. Dad, you were
It's
so
the evolution of the human species. Their kids
It
are going to be
is, I
smarter
tell
than
you.
them.
But you know what? Can I be honest? I cannot compete with the new generation. If I was in medical school today, oh my gosh, they learned everything I learned 30 years ago, plus all the new stuff in the same amount of time. Like, wow. How can you
But
do
I'll
that?
tell you, when I was cycling the last lap of the Ironman, this
Okay.
was at like maybe kilometer 80.
Okay.
There were plenty of young people had fallen off the bike unconscious and they were pouring water on them. And I was cycling by and laughing. Look at this old bugger.
Well, I think the one thing that sometimes people, like, let's say, of our generation is like, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the most clever, but I don't mind if I die, but I will work harder than you. You cannot beat me at hard work. You just no way.
You got it. Yeah. And that's the thing with the shooting as well. I started shooting 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, because I operated the head of the association that
Okay.
controls shooting in the country and in the state. He said, Cyrus, why don't you come and shoot? I always had a gun fascination. Probably
Like,
not very politically
like
correct.
an American, not like an Indian.
Yeah,
Americans love guns.
yeah. If I was in Texas, I'd have maybe 100 guns. I don't know what the gun laws are like in California.
Oh, they just passed a law today that outlaws new sales of Glock guns. Glock, the Austrian
I
guns.
have two. I have
But
two.
they're no longer allowed to be sold new in California.
Sure. No, I agree, because things have kind of got out of control with kids running around with guns and stuff like that. You just don't want that.
Right.
So, yeah, but if I was in Texas, I'd have 100 guns. And I'd be a membership of the National Rifle Association. Yeah. So I started going to the range and practicing with the Olympic coach. And as you know, Indians do very well in the Olympics and in the Asian Games and in the Commonwealth Games in shooting. It's always been one of our things, because as a race, we are not very large and strong. So we can't compete in things like, the 100 meters or pure strength sports are a little difficult to compete in, even though we do have a gold medal in javelin as well. But shooting it's a question of precision and skill. The gun only weighs 2 kilos. So even if you're small, you're big, it makes no difference. You got to use your brains and control your finger. And that's what surgeons do. So for surgeons, it's easy to learn shooting.
Huh.
So I became state champion rather quick. And people said, we've been trying for 5 years. So I have to be polite and say, yeah, I'm sure you'll do it next year. But, we've been trained for so many years to control our hands.
Yeah, fine motor control.
Yeah, so the fine motor control that you've learned over the years pays off. Shooting is all fine motor control. I'm not talking about the shooting where, you run around with a gun, clearing the room like Navy SEAL. I'm talking about the type of shooting where, that the target is 50 meters away and you got to hit the size of $1.
Yeah.
So that kind of motor control. And that's what we are taught. And that's why shooting is not so hard for us. Have you tried it?
I am not. I must be the only American who does not own a gun. I have no guns.
You can always try it at the range. You don't have to own a gun. I only have 5. I don't have that many.
Yeah. In Texas, that's nothing. In Texas, you have to have
nothing. Yeah,
minimum is 50 in Texas. Come on.
Yeah. I'd have 100 guns if I was in Texas.
No, I'm the only American with it. I actually have 0 guns. I don't own a single gun.
Sure.
It's just
I understand that. Yeah. Things have kind of gotten out of control as well, Just selling guns to anyone doesn't help.
Right. Now, how do you manage all this stuff? So if I look at your life, I'm like, okay, he is obviously very busy as a surgeon. He has a family life. You have a social life. You go out there and you go after your target practice. You got to shoot your guns. You lift weights. You ride motorcycles. You do Ironman. When do you have time to sleep?
The social life's not that great, I'll have to admit.
You and me both. Don't worry.
Something's got to give. Yeah. They say, he's a bit antisocial. Not antisocial, it's because I'm using that time to do something else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just like to hang around and party as much as the next guy.
Right.
But then there'll be no shooting that day, or there'll be no visit to the gym. And I have a gym at home because I'm just too lazy to go elsewhere. So I have a space which is like a commercial gym with everything. Whatever you go to a commercial gym and find, I've got it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in your hometown, I got to come hang out with you. We'll go lift some weights together.
We'll do a celebrity. I do a celebrity workout. I'm going to start that on YouTube now.
Oh, nice. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
So,
so like people who are well known and stuff, everybody works out today. So I'm going to invite them home to work out in my home gym. And maybe, I can learn a few things from them, which I doubt. Probably they'll be learning from me.
But you'll have fun. That's
yeah, because I've been training since I was in the 6th grade.
Wow.
So you have to get up really early in the morning to beat me.
Why?
I've been doing this for 40 years.
No, you got me beat, no question. Because I don't know. I like to lift weights only in the afternoon. I don't like the mornings. I can do surgery in the mornings. In the afternoon.
So you can't do the weightlifting before the surgery because you might get fine tremors. You can do legs in the morning before surgery. Because even if your foot gets a little tremors, it doesn't matter on the phaco pedal.
So I put up a video or a picture on Instagram of me doing some bench press. And I got so many comments from ophthalmologists saying that, oh no, getting too strong in bench press is going to make your surgery skills worse. No,
Absolutely not.
It's the
rubbish.
The opposite.
Yeah.
Tell me.
They told me that when I went to the range. They said, doctor, your muscles are too big. You'll not be able to shoot. I say, okay, let's see.
Yeah, it's to me there's like zero correlation.
Yeah.
But I need to lift the weights because it clears my brain. It just clears
Sure.
my mind.
Absolutely.
That hard work, that hard effort, or lifting till failure.
When you're on that last rep,
yes,
you're not thinking of anything else.
Right.
And that's why I like motorcycling so much. But because when you were doing 150 kilometers in that corner, you weren't thinking of anything else. It was like meditation.
You can't think of anything else. You're going to crash.
Yeah, it was like meditation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so
I get
30 minutes when you're on that bike at high speed.
Yeah.
That's all that you were doing.
It's focus.
Yeah, you were like Yoda on the bike. There was no distraction.
No, for sure you have to focus on just that. Now, what are the challenges facing the younger ophthalmologists today? So we're both of us are mid-career, kind of at least halfway through our careers here. For the young doctors who are just finishing their training, just starting in practice, what are the big challenges out there now?
So what I think is that in India, it's become very corporate now. 3 or 4 big chains are buying out all the practices that are profitable. So eventually, most young ophthalmologists won't own their own practice. They will be corporate employees. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because beyond a point, you can't do any more then. Because you got to follow the corporate line. And the good thing is you don't have to worry about the next machine, which is going to be $300,000 instead of $200,000, which is inevitable.
Right.
The kind folks from Alcon visited me yesterday with the pricing of the new Unity platform, which is 2.5 times what I paid for the Centurion. And when the Centurion was out, we thought it was absurdly priced.
Yeah.
And this is 2.5 times.
Yeah.
What's the chance that a young ophthalmologist taking a loan from a bank can buy that? It's absolutely zero.
It's tough.
What's the chance that he's going to recover that money by working for 3 or 4 years? Zero. So this is the challenge in front of young ophthalmologists. Can a new ophthalmologist buy an excimer laser? Costs not $250,000 now, or a smile system. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because we have the big practices. If you do 200 or 300 surgeries a month, you can afford to pay for these things. But otherwise, it's going to be impossible, and most of them are going to end up as corporate employees. Now, the question is it worth working 12 hours a day to be a corporate employee? You may as well be working on Wall Street then.
Right. That's what you were saying earlier. Like the young generation, they're not so enamored with medicine anymore. They say, listen, I may as well work for Goldman Sachs and work for Wall Street.
If you're just going to be a corporate employee, you might as well work for a big hedge fund and make $1 million a year, because sure as hell you're not making it in ophthalmology.
Right, or even more. Well, that's one of the frustrations. Here in the US, we see that for sure. We see that people who, at a young age, the few that branch off into medicine do so many years of medical school and residency and fellowship and training, and then barely getting through it. And the ones who branch off and say, let me just do investment banking and Wall Street, hedge funds and private equity, they're making 10x.
Absolutely.
They're gone.
And remember, there's a lot less work involved.
Right.
Sure, there's work. You got to be smart, but you got to be smart here as well. And there's a ton of work to be done.
So are we now seeing a shifting, basically, of the brightest minds not going into medicine? Because in the U.S., if you look at the U.S. a generation ago, 30 years ago, the brightest minds are going into medicine.
Right. I think in India, the brightest minds, even 20 years ago, didn't really go into medicine. They went into engineering, and they joined one of the IITs.
IITs in India.
So these are the smartest people in the country, and that's why they're running all the big corporations in America like Google,
Microsoft, all the companies.
Right.
They're run by
all those super smart kids who are
Yeah.
just smarter than everyone else. They were all from middle-class families. They were all poor and they were driven. They were okay with working 14 and 16 hours a day. Question is, are the kids today growing up in privileged backgrounds ready to work that 16 hours? The super smart kids aren't. So they realize they can make a ton of money a lot quicker by doing a startup or by doing something else rather than grinding away for 20 years to be an ophthalmologist. Because how good were we when we were 32 years old and we just came out of residency? We wouldn't get operated by ourselves, for sure.
Right. Well, I don't want to have my surgery done by a surgeon who's done less than 10,000 cases.
Yeah. And I wasn't as good at 10,000 cases as I was at 20,000. And I'm
Right.
better now at maybe 40,000 cases than I was at 30,000.
Yeah.
Every time I watch your show, I learn something else. Every
Right.
time I watch another video from someone else, I learn something. Every time I attend a meeting, I learn something else.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're getting better and better and better. And I'll be better at 60 than I am at 54.
No, for sure. For sure. 100%. Absolutely.
Will AI bridge this gap? Will robotics and AI bridge this gap? Will the robot surgeon in 5 years be as good as a 60-year-old surgeon who's seen and done it all?
Maybe, but maybe not. You don't know.
We don't know.
There is something to be said for a tremendous amount of actual real world experience. You know, I had a case recently where I'm operating and I could just tell that the bag was a little shallower. And I was like, you know what? There's definitely some zonulopathy here. There's definitely fluid going into burger space in front of the anterior face.
Because you can see everything shallowing. You can make out that bag's moving a little.
But it was so subtle. But I could just tell.
Yeah.
And then when I finished the cortex cleanup and I came out of the eye with the eye probe and I put the viscoelastic in to fill the bag, I said, oh, look, there are tiny little particles in burger space of lens material. I'm like, oh. So, but I mean, there were subtle, tiny little hints that 20 years ago, I would not have understood.
Sure. And I see this very commonly. Patients after cataract surgery, they complain, I'm getting a lot of floaters. And we are like, don't worry, it will go away. We don't want to have that all the time. But actually, it's those tiny bits that have gone around the zonules.
Right.
Should we do the question is, should you do a vitrectomy with a cataract surgery? I don't think so. I think we just wait for them to go away.
That's the beauty of steroids. Topical steroids, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-3 months.
But I mean, I don't know if earlier in my career, 20 years ago, I would have been able to detect that as easily. I think there's a
definitely not.
This experience is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But not, you know what? Like you were about the same age. I'm enjoying the journey. I mean, this has been an incredible career. I am so enjoying it every day. But the challenges are there. And then the problem we get now is for us 20 years in the future, when we're 75 or 70 something plus, then maybe we have great knowledge and great experience, but now maybe our motor skills are a little bit on the decline. So there's a delicate balance.
Yeah, but even if you're 75 or 80 and our motor skills are a little bit on the decline, the technology will be so good then, in 20 years from now, that we just have to buy the robot.
Listen,
so we are kind of future-proof.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, Rick, I have a very clear financial disclosure. I am an investor and an advisor and a consultant.
Why not? Absolutely, that's fine. Yeah.
So I'm involved in that space. But yeah, I think I'm embracing new technologies because I look at our careers, back when you were with Howard Fine in the year 2000, I finished my residency in 2000. So back in 2000, when you were with Howard Fine, oh my gosh, how basic was our surgery?
Yeah.
Compared to now, 25 years later, it's a different world.
Sure. It's completely different.
So 25 years
refractive surgery has changed.
In the year 2050, it'll be unbelievable. It'll be unrecognizable to us. It'll be amazing. So it'll keep evolving.
I think so. I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
If you weren't a surgeon, what else would you have done?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, so I always loved engineering. I've always been a math person. I love math. I just love math, physics. My favorite subject in school was always math and physics. I just loved it. So I always loved that. So maybe engineering. But my parents made it very easy. When we were growing up, my parents would say, son, or they say, kids, when you grow up, you can be any kind of doctor you want, anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but that was very common in India in the 80s. They said, beta, lawyer, I'm going to say it in Hindi and you can translate it. Doctor bano, lawyer bano, architect bano, engineer, nahi to juta polish karo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You can be architect, attorney, lawyer, whatever, but don't polish shoes.
Yeah, exactly. So there weren't very many career options. There was no YouTuber or influencer. These things didn't exist. There was no such thing as a startup. There was no startup. You worked for a big corporation, or you did your own career.
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I'm so happy. I'm thankful every day to be an ophthalmologist. There's no question about it.
I was the worst math student. I had two maths teachers.
Really?
And I wrote that in my book. Yeah. So one maths teacher was from the college, so that he could give me helpful hints as to what was going to come in the exam. And the other maths teacher was to actually teach me maths, because the first one really couldn't teach maths. So I had two maths teachers, and despite having two maths teachers, I got exactly 40 out of 100 and I passed. Because if you flunked in the old days, you couldn't join medical school if you flunked maths.
Wow.
Today, you don't even have to do maths anymore, because they realize that the ability to do mathematics and the ability to do surgery and two things are completely unrelated. If the ability to do maths was a barometer of surgical skill, I would be the worst surgeon in the whole world.
Too funny. That's too funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't teach my fifth grader maths. I had to hire a teacher to do that.
Wow.
Maths is absolutely beyond me. So if I wasn't a surgeon, I would have either been a competitive bodybuilder and tried to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, which probably wouldn't have worked out because we don't have the same genetics.
Right.
And bodybuilding is a genetic sport. Never find a guy who was small and 5'2" become a giant later on. It's never going to happen. Or I always wanted to be in the army and be in the special forces.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I didn't join the army, there were two reasons for that, is that you had to get up at 4 a.m. And for some reason or the other, cold water was always a part of it. So if you see all the Hell Week, keep throwing cold water on those guys. Yeah. I don't mind the sleep deprivation and rolling around in the sand, but no cold water, please. So the whole idea of getting up at 4 a.m. and being doused in cold water all the time, I said, forget it. I don't mind being shot, but no cold water.
Oh my God, you are too funny. You are too funny. That is amazing. I mean, I think these are actually really important points. But I mean, kind of no matter where you come from, if you have the drive or determination for the young generation, because our podcast gets a lot of young viewers in the 30s, maybe 40s. Sure. If you're a young doctor, a young ophthalmologist, and you have a drive or an ambition, I promise you're going to do great. Just stick with your drive, stick with your ambition, work
Absolutely.
hard. You are blessed to be an ophthalmologist.
It's a great career. The patients thank you every day. It's different when you're an oncosurgeon or when you're a neurosurgeon, because the patient may never come back to thank you, maybe dead.
Yeah, no one has a craniotomy and then says the next day, thank you.
Wow, thanks. Yeah,
I feel better.
Exactly. Yeah, never.
Yeah. But I mean, today here in LA, this is Tuesday night for me. Yesterday, Monday, I did all my surgery. So I saw all the post-ops today, and like patient after patient after patient, every patient, oh my God, doc, this is amazing. I can't believe it. I can't believe I see this well. This is amazing. Oh, thank you so much. I just get so much love on post-op day one. I love it. It's the best.
It's the best.
Right.
I think even better than the dentist.
Oh, for sure. For sure. For sure. Well, listen, Cyres, I can't believe we've been talking for already more than 1 hour. We're having so much fun. You're an incredible inspiration to so many ophthalmologists, including me. I want to thank you for spending the time doing our podcast and giving some good life stories and life lessons to our young ophthalmologists.
Thank you so much, Uday, and thank you so much for having me. It was a great pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. And I remind our listeners and viewers, remember, we got a new Cataract Coach podcast every single Sunday. We got a new Cataract Coach video every single day. We have 2,800 videos and counting. And of course, we also have our sister channel now, retinarounds.com. So new retina video as well as a new retina podcast every single week. Check it out. So until next time, I will catch you later.